Alright, YouTube, I thought it was time to talk about how the legacy media was absolutely hilarious to me, specifically on the token that since Trump has been elected, that is, he's the president-elect now, he'll be taking office, the press has whined and whined every time he ditches them. Like, he goes out to eat a steak dinner with his family. He doesn't want 1,000 cameras flashing in his face. Because, I mean, he hasn't even taken the oath of office yet. He's probably trying to enjoy the last few days of his freedom. And they just whine and complain, it's worse than anything. He's not giving us enough access. He's not transparent enough. Yeah, like Obama, that smiles for the cameras every single time that the media is around. Yeah, he's really transparent. I'm sure that that's an indicator of how things will turn out. Actually, maybe it's total opposites. Obama will smile for the camera and answer everyone's question. Meanwhile, his administration is as opaque as a block of marble. Maybe Trump will be the reverse. He's not going to talk to the press, but he'll actually try to let people know what's going on once in a while. It's funny to see the hypocrisy that the same media outlets that spent literally months doing almost nothing other than talk about how Trump was a rapist, a pervert, he had no idea what he was doing, his entire campaign was a sham, maybe he didn't even mean to run and he was just doing it as a joke. The same people that spent months giving him virtually no fair media coverage are now complaining that he doesn't want to talk to them so much. Boo fucking who? You know who he'd probably rather talk to? He'd probably rather talk to people who are more balanced in their coverage, who, yes, will criticize him if he did something blatantly stupid, but generally speaking understood what he was doing to some degree, didn't constantly crucify him based on every rumor that happened to come out. We had an election that for the last 2 months of the actual campaign was marked by scandal after scandal being ignored when it involved Hillary Clinton until the very, very last bit with Comey and the very, very last WikiLeaks dumps. The legacy media completely ignored everything she did wrong. They constantly rambled about how great it would be that she happens to be female while in office, because they all thought that it was going to be a shoo-in. They thought it was a done deal. They talked about how it was so wildly unlikely that Trump would win, and if he did, all hell would break loose. As soon as he was, when the markets temporarily went down, and now they're at like record highs, which is funny. By the way, that's not an indicator that Trump's, necessarily going to be like the fiscal savior or something. It's just a natural rebound after they sort of did collapse there for a day. All of a sudden they started talking about fiscal Armageddon. Oh no, Trump is going to destroy our economy. It'll be worse than Brexit or something. These morons, they don't know what's happening in the world because they're not keyed into what's happening in the world. They just sit there and they read from a teleprompter and they have staffers feed them their lines. I don't blame Trump for not wanting to talk to them. If I were Trump, I'd withhold it for a while longer. I'd say, I guess these people owe me a little bit of an apology if they want to talk to me. The idea of the freedom of the press means that the press gets to constantly question the president on anything, and if he refuses their invitation to talk, then he's a tyrant. That's not what the First Amendment friggin' means. What it means is the right to publish information. But the legacy media spent months only publishing negative information about Donald Trump. Why would he want to talk to these people? It's not like the press is limited to a half a dozen corporate news groups that happen to have people that can go and see the president at the Rose Garden. That's not what the press means. The press is literally the printing press. It's the distribution of information, books, pamphlets, some blog you post online, video making, anything like that, whether it's electronic or manual or whether you're just talking to somebody and spreading information that way about some event that happens to have happened or you're analyzing something. That's the press. It's the freedom, the right of the people at large, not some special snowflake little group that happens to be arbitrarily labeled the media. I do media too. Video's a form of media. Books are a form of media. Does this make me part of the media? Yeah, the only thing I don't have is the master's degree in journalism and a job at Fox or CNN or something like that. It's the only difference. It doesn't mean that their reporting's more accurate. It doesn't mean that it's less biased. It doesn't give them some inherent right to constantly perturb any specific politician who doesn't want to talk to them at the time. He was going out for a steak dinner. They acted like it was the end of the world or something. Well, it's certainly the end of their ability to bilk the U.S. political system for cheap clickbait on TV, which is what they've done continuously. It's not like it's just Trump, by the way. They've done this to Obama. They certainly did it to Bush. They've done it for generation after generation. For quite some time now, this is the way the legacy media is operated. It's clickbait that you can't interact with. That's what makes it so crappy. That's why it's dying off. Somebody was pointing out, oh, the New York Times had a surge in subscriptions after the election. Okay, how long do you think that will last? They were already suffering for the better part of a decade before the election happened. Are they going to rebound above the number of people that canceled their subscriptions because they were tired of that crap? I don't think so. Newsprint media is dying. TV media is dying. Good riddance. Yeah, it's total hypocrisy. It's like if I were to follow you around and constantly try to talk to you, and every time you said something to me, I completely twisted what you said and then put on a blog somewhere about how you were a horrible human being, you were clueless and dumb, and probably evil and maybe a pervert too. If I did that, how long would it be before you refused to talk to me? Probably not very long. I think Trump showed immense patience with members of the press pool. I think he showed immense patience by not just cutting them off entirely and saying, okay, I'm not taking, the press isn't coming to my rallies either. I'm not even going to let the camera people in. I'm just going to talk to people, and I'll have some YouTuber record the speeches or something like that, just live stream it. Honestly, that's what I would have done. I would have gotten completely tired of it if I had been treated that way. Like I was Satan incarnate in my opponent, about whom scandals were breaking on a more than daily basis, was completely and utterly exonerated, to the point at which this same legacy media is now trying to use Facebook and Google to actively censor alternative views of the news, even though their own reporting's inaccuracy is what drove people to those alternative sources to begin with. It's their own fault. It's the fault of their format and their blatant disregard for the truth. It's called yellow journalism. It's just an attempt to complete... It's not even muckraking. Muckraking implies that at least some of those scandals are real. But they weren't. We had a 10-year-old sex tape, and that's pretty much it. Everything else they report on was, oh, Trump said something that people find annoying. Trump says something people find bigoted. Meanwhile, you have open collusion between the other campaign and Saudi Arabia and Qatar, and connections to apparently Haitian pedophiles and things like that. The media doesn't even touch the stories. They don't even mention it, not even in passing most of the time. That's not freedom of the press. That's not the press. That's just the mainstream dying legacy media. They happen to have TV stations and websites. That's all that it is. I'm a member of the press. You're a member of the press. If you make videos, if you've written a book, you're a member of the press. You're privy to the same rights. It's like when Feinstein, I believe it was, or Pelosi or one of these idiots came out and said, well, bloggers shouldn't have the ability to just post whatever they want because they're not members of the media. Yeah, they are. Under the strict interpretation of the First Amendment, that is the press. That is the media. They're using media, video, newsprint, whatever it happens to be. You don't need a journalism degree and a press pass to take part in this. That's not the way the world operates, especially not online. It's the bane of mainstream politics of the current era. So yeah, I don't blame him for ditching the press to go eat steak. Then there was a funny infographic somebody made from, I think it was Huffington Post, where one story was like, if you judge people based on how they have their steaks, you're probably an ignorant Trump fan. And then like another story from a week later was, oh, Trump likes his steaks well done. What's wrong with this person? It's yellow journalism at its finest. It's contradictory. It's mostly hyperbole. Much of it is completely inaccurate. The only reason why they don't get constantly fact-checked on the accuracy of their reporting is that they're tied in with all the fact-checkers that probably give them money. That's the only reason for it. When they excoriate some of these so-called fake news sites, hell, half of them have a better track record than CNN at this point of reporting things that are actually more objectively and solidly true. So no, I don't blame him at all. I would have done the same thing way, way earlier than he did. That's about all. Peace out.